Venom. The story of Venom is one of the most tragic tales the city of New York has to tell. It's a story about rejection, loneliness, and wanting to heal a broken world after feeling and experiencing the pain of tortured men who wanted nothing but to simply save and protect. It's a story about connection and realizing a vision without pain, without weakness, and instead embracing something much darker. An opportunity to release your inner temptations of violence and rage and align your morals to something beyond sinister. An opportunity to become the symbiote. Throughout Insomniacs Spider-Man, we follow an optimistic protagonist called Peter Parker, a man who undergoes and experiences the greatest traumas that would most definitely crush the bravest of men. He watches his mother figure die in his arms, watches his closest friends deteriorate and align to a path of darkness, and constantly listens to an ungrateful society who never appreciates his efforts of restoring peace. Peter Parker is written as someone who always overcomes any obstacle, no matter how internal or how dire. His foes will always be defeated, his wounds will always heal, and most importantly of all, he will always find a way to move forward despite how unfortunate his tragedy is. However, with every blow he takes, every betrayal he endures, a brewing darkness is forged. A darkness repressed and held back by his own moral code implanted by his uncle to be an inspiration and to always do the right thing and be better. Unfortunately for Peter, this darkness can be unlocked with a key that opens up freedom from the deaths and tragedies he feels responsible for. Freedom from the pain and regrets clouding his mind ever since he first donned the mask. Freedom to become something his uncle feared he would become. A monster. In Spider-Man 2, Peter and his best friend Harry infiltrate an enemy base with the hopes of finding his girlfriend MJ and saving Dr. Connors from becoming the monster he always feared. However, everything goes wrong. MJ helplessly watches as Dr. Connors mutates into his alter ego, the Lizard, and Spider-Man is surprised by a ruthless Kraven the Hunter as he buries his blade deep into his abdomen, nearly killing him.
Not as venomous as they say.
In a moment of absolute fear and desperation, MJ carries Peter's lifeless body to an old greenhouse as Harry and Kraven battle in a bloody brawl to the death. Confessions and regrets of failing to be a good boyfriend and partner consumes his dialogue as MJ begins to weep in fear of losing the only family she has left. After a continued struggle, she eventually lays Peter's body on the ground, followed by Harry as he defeats Kraven and begins mourning the death of his best friend and brother. However, instead of dying, Peter is resurrected by Harry's symbiote as it slowly consumes him, completely changing his appearance. The symbol on the suit is bolder, the armor is stronger and thicker, and his abilities are deadly to any physical threat that opposes him. Unfortunately for Peter, this suit is more than just a new addition to his roster. It's an evil presence that brings out the worst in our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, turning a symbol that once inspired hope and growth into one of fear and intimidation. This evil presence will dawn a new persona, a persona called the Black Suit Spider-Man. What makes the symbiote so scary and menacing is it represents an opportunity. An opportunity to connect and empathize with someone that understands your pain, understands your sufferings. An opportunity to be loved and appreciated by someone who gives you the strength to move forward when the path is dark and hollow. When the symbiote attaches to Spider-Man, he initially experiences the brief feeling of mindfulness, something he's always wanted. Peace from the sacrifices, betrayals, and sufferings he feels responsible for. However, this feeling quickly grows into a violent addiction as the temptation of rage and rebellion slowly morphs his moral code into a blurred vision. Venom's influence on Peter is giving him that opportunity he's repressed for so long. From the symbiote's perspective, the city has taken everything from Peter. It's killed his closest family, broken his greatest of friends, and constantly tormented by a resident who never appreciates his efforts despite how hard he tries to maintain their peace. With the symbiote, he finally has that chance to realize his darkest repressed emotions and begin his descent into villainy. Like most addictions, the symbiote presents itself as a solution to a temporary problem. It slowly gets in your mind, ingraining a new perspective of retaliation against the people who support and show you the light in the greatest hours of darkness. Because everyone in the eyes of Peter is the problem, the people who are ungrateful and unappreciative of all the sacrifices and trauma our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man has suffered for them. The people who try to take away the one and only thing that grants him peace in his life. His addiction makes him reject his friends and embrace the symbiote as his one and only family, which only affects his relationship with everyone around him as he eventually descends down the path of the anti-hero and becomes completely attached to this venom. As we battle and defeat a ruthless Kraven the Hunter, Peter levitates above the sadistic predator, violently choking him with all the strength to the point of near death. In this moment, Peter sees all of his foes in the eyes of this desperate hunter, the friends who killed his mother, the city who took everything from him and never stopped to say thank you. In a moment of absolute possession and rage, he feels completely comfortable with taking a life, until Miles intervenes and saves Kraven's life.
It's just me.
Peter and Miles battle in what can only be described as a desperate brawl of salvation, with Peter believing the symbiote is the only thing that can heal him, the only thing that grants him peace in a world of apathy and hatred. Completely unaware and ignorant to the realization of becoming the very thing he sought to defeat in the first place. In a moment of desperation and courage, Miles convinces Peter to reject the symbiote and embrace his inner Spider-Man, which leads to the iconic moment where he tears away this addiction, inspiring everyone to do the same thing. However, in this act of heroism, there's a victim in all of this. As Peter rejects the symbiote, it lays on the floor, confused and afraid as it desperately crawls back to him like a hopeless animal staring at its owner. What makes this moment so interesting is the symbiote genuinely thought it was a solution to Peter's internal problems. It healed him of his regrets and torments, offering him an opportunity to become the perfect Spider-Man. It cared for him and always healed his wounds both as a friend and as an ally. Some would say the symbiote even loved him. However, now he's abandoned, rejected by his only family, and sent to a research facility for his permanent termination. Unfortunately for Spider-Man, while wearing the symbiote, he fractured many of his closest relationships, most tragic of all Harry, who was denied his one and only cure by a selfish Peter who rejected his cries for help and instead keeps the suit in a desperate measure from ever experiencing that pain and trauma again. Which will lead to the inevitable conflict where Harry will bond with the symbiote and don the persona of Venom. There's many justifications and reasons behind why the symbiote is even called Venom in the first place. However, in Spider-Man 2, the symbiote calls himself Venom as a rebellion against the pain and trauma it's witnessed through everyone firsthand. After connecting with Harry and visiting his mother's grave, it learns about his motivations for healing the world, which leads to the symbiote calling itself Venom. Venom from the pain and trauma of never having to feel suffering ever again. Venom from the day-to-day life of misery and rejection. Venom from the symbiote's superficial, cynical perception of humanity and life. This quest leads to a selfless goal where they both seek and liberate each and every one of the residents of the city, snatching their bodies and imprisoning them in a hive mind where they all rest in peace from their daily sufferings, locked in cells with a key nowhere to be found. What I love about Venom is he genuinely believes he's doing the right thing. Because of his lack of world knowledge and moral philosophies, he solves problems with the most extreme surface level solutions. If a criminal stands in his way, he murders them. If he sees someone in pain, he takes over and sets their mind at ease. Every other villain in Spider-Man's rogues gallery does evil things in pursuit of selfish motivations. However, Venom is one of the few cases that is selfless. He believes he's helping people, doing the right thing and curing them of their illnesses. As the story progresses, the Venom invasion slowly grows out of control. More and more people are captured, the city is engulfed in large black tendrils, uniting them and connecting everyone and everything in unity. And Miles and Peter quickly become overwhelmed by the escalation of the events, until we reach the final level. After Peter, MJ, and Miles attempt to intervene with Venom, they attract the symbiotes and Harry's attention, luring them to a place that represented their growth as children, a place where they shared memories both precious and tragic, a place where they both grew as friends and as brothers. As Peter and Harry battle, we slowly learn how frustrated Harry is. He's angry, alone, and feels rejected by everyone and everything that loved him. His father locked him away in a cell, his friends abandoned him in his greatest time of need, and everyone treats him as weak and inferior. However, we also learn Harry is an innocent bystander in all of this, and the symbiote has taken complete control to ensure no one has to feel the pain of rejection ever again. While the fight progresses, the symbiote becomes stronger and stronger and more full of rage as the screams of its victims become louder and louder, which leads to Venom sprouting wings and becoming a pure demon of manifestation. A demon of hatred. A demon of suffering. The fight quickly becomes desperate as Peter anxiously wants to save his friend and give him the second chance he's always deserved. However, he's too late. The symbiote is completely fused with Harry, which leads to the heartbreaking realization of what he'll have to do to restore balance to a broken Earth. Peter exterminates the symbiote from Harry, leaving a lifeless corpse in his wake. A corpse belonging to a best friend that didn't understand his mistake until it was too late, influenced and consumed by an entity that understood him better than anyone else. The reason Venom is the best Spider-Man villain is because of how it affects Peter in his life. It manipulates his friends, family, and even himself, turning their darkest repressed desires and ambitions into sinister goals. Motivated and aligned by a presence who simply wants to solve the most complex problems with the most surface-level solutions. Venom's not evil, not a monster, but a misunderstood entity that simply brings out the worst in people and gives them exactly what they want without understanding the concept of morals and philosophies which would prevent such evil being wrought onto the most undeserving of people. When there's time to develop these traits and understand what and who people are, he slowly becomes reformed. Venom sees himself as the savior, the real hero the world needs, the demon that's willing to take any risk necessary to preserve the safety and health of all those who come into contact with him. And that's exactly why Venom is my favourite Spider-Man villain, and one of the best villains to ever grace a comic book page. Like and subscribe for more content in the future, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.